So one of the biggest issues with things that help fix knee, hip, foot, ankle, and general lower body problems is wondering where to start and how do you individualize things so the fix is specific to you. In this video, I'll show you some simple tests that you can run to assess where you're tight, and I'll give you the best exercises that I've used with 20,000 plus patients and clients that I've worked with in my 14 years as a physical therapist. All movements that we produce have a rotational component, and most lower body problems boil down to a loss of either external rotation or internal rotation, and that occurs at all joints. The hip, as I just demonstrated, but also the knee when I bend and straighten, and even the ankle and foot complex creates this rotation as we move. The self-tests I'm going to have you do look at your ability to produce both of those rotations. And if you're restricted in them, it could be contributing to some of the issues you're having. Our first test biases internal rotation, the toe touch. Stand with your feet hip width apart. A pass is when you can keep the knees straight, the hips shoot back, and you bend forward and touch your toes. If you can't touch your toes, your knees begin to bend, or the motion happens only at the spine and the hips don't go back, consider that a fail. Next, we'll look at a squat. This biases external rotation. Stand with the feet hip width apart and point the toes forward. Arms out in front, squat straight down, keeping the feet flat. If you can go all the way down like you're crapping in the woods, consider that a pass. If you can't go that far, or you notice that your feet spin out when you try to squat down, you probably don't have external rotation. This next one combines our ability to externally and internally rotate at the same time. I call this the Z test. Why? Because your boy's name's Big Z. Sit with one leg in front, external rotation, and the other leg back, internal rotation. To bias the external rotation component, sit back on both your hips and try to drop the leg down. If you can't touch the ground, you're limited in external rotation. Next, to bias the internal rotation component, sit forward so your front knee is flush on the ground and try to drop the hip back. If you can't move into that position, you're limited in internal rotation. The last thing we'll look at is your foot shape, as this can tell us whether your structure is biased more towards external rotation or internal rotation. And you can test this when you get out of the shower. Just stick that damp foot onto a wet surface. Dry off everywhere else though. If you only see the front and back of your foot, you got like super high arches, bro. If you can see the outside of the foot, but the center of the foot is not visible, you got a moderate sized arch. And if you can see your entire foot, like some sort of foot finder pancake, then you probably got yourself a low arch. Okay, we got all these test results. What the hell do we do? Well, before we figure out which exercises are best, we have to figure out what kind of person are you. There's a few different categories that we might run into depending on your test findings. The first is you hella stiff. If you wrote LOL next to all of your test results, this is you, meaning all tests are limited. This can be present with any foot type. The next is anterior pelvic tilt with a deep back arch. Think J-Lo, Kim Kardashian, or Donald Duck. Even though I'm wearing blue, you can only see me from the waist up. I promise I'm not dressed like him right now. This is you if your squat is limited. And on the Z-sit test, you can't drop the front leg down. Typically, these folks have moderate to low shaped arches. Next is the sway back. This is the person with the hips that are way far forward. I'm talking you went to Chipotle and you didn't go double meat, you went triple bean. This is you if your toe touch is limited, possibly your squat as well. And with the Z-sit, you can't drop the back hip down, AKA you have limited internal rotation. These people generally have really high arches, although some people can have more moderate shaped. Last, but certainly not least, is the asymmetrical presentation. This is you if toe touch and squat were pretty good. They can be slightly limited, but your Z-sit is asymmetrical, meaning on one side you have limited external rotation, and the other side you have limited internal rotation. A lot of times, these folks will have a foot presentation where one arch is a little flatter, one is a little bit more arched, or vice versa. That often corresponds with the Z-sit findings. Okay, so you figured out who you are. Now we're going to gonna go into exercises to target each one of those archetypes. The first is you hella stiff. If this is you, muscles everywhere are super tight. So you have to learn how to move without producing as much tension. An easy place to start is lying on your side with a foam roller between your shins. Hips are gonna be at about 90 degrees of hip flexion. Put your hands atop one another out in front of your chest. You're gonna quietly nasal breathe during this activity. Then slide your top arm along the bottom arm until it goes across the chest. As this happens, you should notice that your chest begins to move, then your middle back, and then your lower back, then your hip. Stop the movement when your hip and leg no longer rolls backwards. If you don't, you'll end up producing most of the rotation through the middle of the back, and you don't want to do that because that's not going to get you to chillax the muscles. Once the leg stops moving, then return to the start, but this time drive the motion with the knee. So the knee and hip are going to go forward, then the pelvis, then the lower back, then the mid, then the upper, then your arm. So go back with the arm, forward with the knee. Try 2 to 3 minutes per side with this move. Now, getting muscles to chill is only one piece of the puzzle. See, most of your bigger muscle groups are on the front side of your lower body and the back. When those muscles are more tense at rest, it creates a squeezing reaction and force on the front and back side. You can reverse that by applying a force to the side of the body, because when I squeeze the sides, it kind of helps open up the front and back space. I like using this rolling variation to achieve that. You'll place a foam roller on the side of your pelvis just above the greater trochanter, which is this bony part right here on the side of your hip. Your bottom knee will be relaxed on the ground, top foot in front of the bottom ankle with the knee up. Make a letter T with your arms and let your trunk and arm fall to the side. Make sure it's in line with your bottom hip. You're gonna take a quiet breath in through the nose. During the exhale, use your hand to push your trunk away. As you do that, you want the pelvis to relax into the roller. It might be a little uncomfortable, but I promise it'll help your rotation. Looking straight ahead, take a quiet breath in through the nose. As you do this, you want to roll your body backwards, making sure the bottom knee stays on the ground. Produce the motion through the pelvis. Exhale, push the knee forward. So it's inhale, roll back. Exhale, push forward. Most people screw this up by over-rotating through the trunk. Stay relaxed into the foam roller and do this for 3 sets of 10 reps per side. Now, both of these movements can open up a ton of motion, but you gotta put it to use if you want things to stick. That's where I like this particular deadlift variation that you probably haven't tried. You want to grab a weight and put it on an elevated surface. Have your front foot in line with the weight that you're using and keep the knee bent. Be heel heavy on the front leg. You're going to inhale and reach for the weight, bending your knee further. As you do this, your hips should go backwards and your head should look down to about 5 to 10 feet out in front of you. Exhale, stand up with the weight, staying heavy on the heel. So it's inhale, push the hips back, set the weight down. Exhale, come up. The biggest mistakes that I see people make is not hinging and bending through the lower back. You got to be able to open up the hips if you want to improve your lower body mobility. So make sure you push the hips back. Another issue I see that is common with this and related to the last point is people straightening the knee and letting the shin drift backwards when they complete the motion. If you do this, you're actually pushing your hips too far forward, and that's going to limit your lower body mobility improvements. Keep the knee bent throughout as you do this movement. Try 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps, and if that gets too easy, then just keep adding weight. Next up, person with the anterior pelvic tilt and the deep back arch. If this is you, your big focus point is going to be opening up the upper part of the pelvis. This is going to help improve external rotation of the entire leg, because when you shift the hips backwards through this area, it changes the orientation of the acetabulum and it allows your hips and the rest of your lower body to externally rotate. Easiest place to start is lying on your back with your knees bent and your feet resting on some sort of box or books. Just make sure the feet are flat as you do this. Your waistband area, which is where these 2 bones right here, your PSIS sit, should be relaxed on the ground. Your back doesn't have to be completely flat to do this, this, but if you notice you're crazy arched and that waistband area is hovering off the ground, you probably got to raise your feet up a little higher. Without moving the pelvis and lower back, press your feet straight down into the box. Most pressure is going to be through the heel, but you should also notice a little bit of press through the ball of the first and fifth toe. The biggest mistake that I see people make is tipping the feet inward or moving the back and tucking the hips as they're performing the motion. But if you're tucking the hips, you're not getting this area to relax. Usually what's happening is the back muscles are getting locked in place and it's moving the pelvis and lumbar spine as a unit. Most of the changes that you're gonna get then are spinal. If you struggle getting the foot pressure without moving the pelvis, you can try lifting the front of the feet up and then pressing the front of the feet down while keeping heel contact. If you get this right, you're gonna feel your hamstrings start to work. It doesn't have to be a significant amount. It could be a 2 to 4 out of 10 effort at the most. Now that you're here, put one hand on the chest, one on the stomach, and do a slow 5-count breath in through the nose and a soft 5-count exhale through the mouth. Only move about 75% of your air. Try this position for 3 sets of 60 seconds. Now, if you really want to improve your mobility in this presentation, you have to work deeper ranges of motion. Pretend like you're some sort of physical therapy creed. Can you take those legs higher? Yeah, that just happened. Lie on your back and bring your hips up to a 90-degree angle with the feet together and knees apart. And I'm telling you, make sure you're at 90 degrees. Most people go well above that and flex through the lower back. If you flex through the lower back, you're not gonna get the changes you want in the pelvis and hips. That's not gonna get you any better lower body mobility. Keep the legs at 90 degrees. If you're there and you notice you got a deep back arch, straighten the knees out a little bit. That's gonna shift your weight back. So that way that waistband area that we talked about with the last move relaxes into the ground. Take your arms and put them at about 110 to 120 degrees of shoulder flexion with the palms up. Imagine you're holding a casserole dish and you're about to put it into the microwave. Most Midwestern cue ever. Do a slow 5-count breath in through the nose, and during that soft 5-count exhale through the mouth, gently reach your arms at that 110 to 120 degree angle. You don't have to go far, just go at about a 5 out of 10 in terms of your range. Maintain arm and leg position and do the same slow breathing like we just talked about for 3 sets of 60 seconds. Now, getting your leg rotation all loosey-goosey is well and good, but you gotta use it under higher intensity activities if you want changes to stick. One of the best ways to improve entire lower body external rotation is squatting. I like to start a lot of people with this foam roller squat variation here. Place a foam roller on your lower back and lean up against the wall. Make sure your feet are pretty far away. Most people make the mistake of having their legs too close to the wall. I lived through the 90s. I know what happens when you get too close. Look straight ahead and hold a weight right out in front of your chest. Make sure you don't round when you're in this position. Staying heavy on the heel, inhale through the nose and drop down slowly into a squat. Keep this above parallel. Exhale and come back up. Don't make the mistake of going too deep in this movement, because usually when that happens, you either round your back too much or you arch too much, and that's gonna limit your mobility gains. If you go for a slow 3-count down and a slow 3-count up, and the weight's heavy enough, you should feel your quads cooking. Do 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Now, if you're the person who has more of the sway back presentation, generally muscles in the lower part of the pelvis and hips are tighter. So our focus is gonna be pushing the hips backwards and opening up this area. If we do that, we should improve internal rotation throughout the leg. The easy place to start is lying on your stomach with one knee out to the side. Make sure the knee is not too high up. I just flare it out a little bit. Lift your arms up overhead and relax them on the ground. You want your elbow crease to be about eye height. Do a slow 5-count breath in through the nose. During the first exhale, which is gonna be about a 5-count, you wanna think about sliding the ground away. So you're gonna push the ground down and forward. That's gonna cause your body to go up and backwards. Drift your eyes upward as you do this press. What this will do is it'll get the rectus abdominis muscle, which is on the front of the body, to relax. Because this muscle pulls the hips forwards, it makes it easier to push the hips backwards. With the head position, make sure you're not looking too far down or tucking your chin or arching way up. Both of those will limit the mobility gains. Keep a 3 to 4 out of 10 pressure through the arms so that way you stay up. Hang hang out in this position, doing the same slow breaths like we talked about earlier for 3 sets of 60 seconds. You can open up this lower body motion even further by bringing the legs up even higher. You'll start with your feet together and knees apart. Get a Swiss ball and put it between the legs. If you don't have one, you can use a foam roller in a pinch. If you notice that your back is arched, try straightening the knees. If your hips are way up, I'm talking past 90 degrees, you're going too far, kid. You want the hips at 90 or the kneecaps pointing toward the ceiling. Walk your hands up and press the hands and the knees into the ball at a 3 to 4 out of 10 effort. Your abs will start working. Make sure your feet stay together as you do this. A common mistake people make is losing the foot contact. While you're keeping that pressure, do slow 5-count breath in through the nose and a soft 5-count breath out through the mouth. Hold this position for 3 sets of 60 seconds, breathing just like that. We've opened up hip mobility like crazy. Now we have to put it to use. Moving in a more hinged position, like in this box squat here, is a great way of doing that. Stand with your feet spun out slightly. We're starting an external rotation, but don't worry, when we move into position, we'll be biasing internal rotation. And stay heavy on the feet with the knees bent. Grab a weight, doesn't have to be really heavy, about 5 to 10 pounds. Take a slow breath in through the nose, and during the exhale, reach the weight forward. Keep the arms at a 90-degree angle throughout the motion. You're gonna inhale and slowly squat down to the box, making sure the hips go back and the knees bend at the same time. Keep the hinge posture as you touch the box. Exhale and slowly come back up. So it's inhale, sit, exhale, come back up. Most of the mistakes that I see involve either completely relaxing on the box, hyperextending at the tippy top, or losing the 90-degree arm angle, to which you'll see arching of the back. If you do all these, you're not gonna get into the hip ranges that we need to fix this particular lower body presentation. Do slow 3-count pace down and a slow 3-count pace up, and try 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Now, if you've done those moves for 2 to 4 weeks, you might notice at this point that your tests actually are becoming a little more asymmetrical. And to me, that's a good thing, because if you have external rotation loss on one side and internal on the other, that means your body just has a lot of rotation one way and you got to rotate your body the other way. That's an easier fix than some of the other presentations. Here's how to do that. Lie on your side. The one that you want on the ground is the one limited in external rotation. Have your feet up against the wall and a foam roller between the shins. You want to keep the feet flat on the wall. Press a little bit with the heel, the ball of the 1st and 5th toes. You might feel your hamstrings work, totally cool. Keeping the feet glued, you're gonna inhale through the nose. As you do this, you slowly wanna rotate the top leg forward. You should notice that your knee, hip, and pelvis move first, then eventually your lower back, middle, and upper back can come along for the ride. Exhale, go back to the start position. So it's inhale, slowly roll forward, 1 piece at a time. Exhale, come back. Don't make the mistake of log rolling your body, losing foot pressure into the wall, or hiking the hip as you perform the rotation. Do 3 sets of 10 rotations in this direction. That moves a little bit more low intensity and passive. We also want to be able to use force to drive the rotation in the direction we're limited in. The side that's limited in internal rotation, have that knee bent and a weight in the arm. The side that's limited in external rotation, have that leg straight and the arm out to the side. Take a quiet breath in through the nose. During the exhale, you're going to use 3 things to get yourself up into position. You'll push through the foot, pull with the free arm, and reach with the weighted arm. This is going to rotate you towards the straight leg. If you get it right, you're going to be supported and pushing with the free arm. Inhale and slowly roll back to the start position. So it's exhale, push with the foot, pull with the arm, reach with the weight. Inhale, slowly curl back. The big mistakes that I see is when the support arm is drifted forward like you're seeing me do here. If that's the case, you probably didn't get a good pull with the support arm in the beginning. The other issue that I see is people trying to crunch this up without using the leg or the free arm to drive the rotation to get into the up position. Do these dynamic curls up and down for 3 sets of 6 to 8. And the last one is one of my favorite ways to drive rotation throughout the lower body, and that is with a split squat. When you're in the top position, your pelvis and lower body is facing away. When you go down into full hip flexion, it starts to move towards. I start most people with a front foot elevated version. The side that's limited in external rotation should be on the box or forward. Start with the front shin more backwards from a vertical line. In the back leg, you want to be on your tiptoe, but you should have both knees bent at the start. Grab a weight and hold it at chest height. Look straight ahead. Staying heavy on the front heel, you're going to inhale and slowly go straight down at about a 3-count pace. Exhale, come back up without locking the knees. So it's inhale down, exhale up. Some of the biggest mistakes I see include losing front foot contact, especially the heel. This oftentimes happens if the shin is pushed too far forward. Usually that's because the shin is too forward at the start. Making sure the shin is further back, like you're seeing here, makes it a lot easier. If you notice that your knees sweep away from the lead leg, just simply limit depth or raise the box up even more. And if you feel too much back leg, what you need to do as you go down is also shift your weight forward. You can do this by pushing through the back foot. Make sure you keep the knee bent as you do this and don't lock out as you complete the push. Do 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps with this move. If you want to up your results beyond what I've offered in this video, you might want to do some things specific to your feet. Check out this video right here. It goes into some specific ways you can improve mobility in that region, and I found with my patients and clients, doing some targeted work in this area can help enhance a lot of the mobility changes that we're trying to do with a video like this.